But now, after the kind of economy collapsed a few years ago, there's just really not that much money going around for specialized film. You look at the studio slate for last year and the next year, you see titles with a number in it or remakes, because those are the safest bets. You can spend a bunch of money on something that people are familiar with. They'll probably come back to see it. It's harder to start something from the ground up and say, like, here's a new idea, because most people just want to spend on the familiar. So I don't make sequels and remakes. I made Clerks 2 once. It did have a number in the title, but I wouldn't consider that the kind of like, everybody's going to come see it. Right. You know, it was a sequel to a movie barely anybody saw. So I don't really do that kind of work, and I realize, like, I'm kind of becoming a dinosaur in this business at this point, because the stuff I like to do is so specialized. It really has no place there, because look at our movie. We just did this movie, Red State, for example. And I've said this everywhere, so if you've heard this elsewhere, bear with me. We spent $4 million making the movie. If we sell it to somebody, in this instance, I'm always using Lionsgate as an example. If Lionsgate bought that flick, they would tack another $20 million onto it to market it, to sell the movie, to put TV ads on, put up billboards, sell radio spots. So suddenly, I don't have to make $4 million on my little low-budget horror film that we all kind of really cinched our belts to pull off. Now I got to make 24, but that's not even the case, because studio doesn't get all the money back from the box office. That has to be split with the exhibitors, people that actually own the theaters. Right. So suddenly you're not making 24, you got to make 48 just to break even. Now that makes sense on a studio equation. When you make Tron at Disney and it costs like 150 or more, you want to market it worldwide, open it huge, because you got one gigantic bite at that three-day weekend apple to establish yourself as a new franchise. So in studio world, it makes sense. Spend $100 million, which they did reportedly, opening Tron worldwide. You got to let everybody know, I'm not opening Tron. I'm opening fucking Red State. You know what I'm saying? So spending all that money to reach an audience that I don't think is ever going to come, and I base that on my past experience, seems like an absolute waste of money. Like, I can make $4 million back at the box office without doing much, just by tweeting all day long. What I can't do is make $48 million back. I've never been able to do that, even with marketing dollars behind me. So I started looking at that, and I was just like, hey man, here's everything's, the confluence of events kind of lines up in this way where maybe I can get that chance one more time to be an indie filmmaker. You know, granted, like, you know, it's a higher budget flick than Clerks was, but still, $4 million is low on the scale now. And I was like, I haven't made a movie this inexpensive since Chasing Amy. I'm making one more movie after this, so I know I'm never gonna make a movie again. The movie I'm gonna do is far too expensive to try this with. But I was just like, would it be possible? I always wanted to try this experiment. Is it possible to release a movie without spending all that marketing money? Without, like, I can't, on a film set, I could bring the cost down. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's an idea that's too expensive, I can alter it. What I can't do is call up a network and be like, how much is that ad, man? I'll give you, 60,000, I'll give you 15,000, and a buddy of mine will give you a hand job. You can't do that sort of thing. You know, like a hard cost to the hard fixed cost, no pun intended. So at that point, I'm very Catholic about this whole fucking life that I've received off of that movie. And so I'm like, maybe I should earn it. Maybe I should now, later in life, with all the experience I have and the wherewithal and the means and the time too, maybe I should actually try earning this one and buggy-lugging the flick myself out there, distribute it, self-distribution. And the idea came from people like Trent Reznor and the folks over at, whatchamacallit, who's the other motherfuckers, the bands? Radiohead, I was gonna say Creep, Radiohead. Those cats did it first. Those cats unplugged from the machine because they were like, we talk to our audience. And it's not like, fuck the machine. It's just like, thank you for all you've given me. I've built this audience now. And the costs of doing business that way don't make sense anymore. I'm just going to come here and work with this crowd. So I felt like maybe we could do that with the movie. Maybe there's a way to kind of release the movie where you don't necessarily spend on all that marketing and just kind of do what they did.